Okay, so somebody mentioned, what if I were to do Thanos wielding the Infinity Gauntlet versus the Black Racer? Now, of course, I have to do this looking at it from both different... Oh, scratch some of the paint off of this. Let's do some repainting before Chicago. Now, one of the biggest problems, of course, I have to do this from two different standpoints. From the DC Universe standpoint, where the Gauntlet does not work. For people say the reality gem would have allowed to work in a different universe, no, because a story that was considered canon pre-New 52, pre-Flashpoint. I think that also would have been pre-Infinite Crisis, pre-Final Crisis. Darkseid had this gauntlet on, and it was like, this would work in another universe, doesn't work here. So if Darkseid couldn't get a full completed Infinity Gauntlet to work, it's safe to say it would not work in the DC universe. So let's say Black Racer were to make the jump to the Marvel universe while Thanos is wearing this glove. Well, if you read Thanos' quest in the lead up to the Infinity Gauntlet, you would have known that even Death herself flat out said, well, Death had her speaker, as Death didn't talk to anybody, that Thanos with the gauntlet was many steps above her, and therefore controlled the essence of Death. Now, of course, having said that, if Black Racer were to come to the Marvel Universe while Thanos was wielding this glove, he would actually be at the behest of Thanos. Therefore, unless Thanos wanted to kill himself, which he probably wouldn't do since he's wielding the power of everything, if it were to happen in the Marvel Universe, Black Racer is actually going to be the person working for Thanos. Now, make that jump into the DC Universe. So this thing is entirely removed from the equation. It's kind of heavy and kind of awkward. As always, I use a 9 criteria system: intelligence, strength, speed, fighting ability, durability, invulnerability, energy projection, this is how great you are at range, versatility, and then X factor. So we're getting into this. Intelligence. Wow, the level of intelligence that Thanos has is huge. If you ever read the story of the Hunger, Thanos was actually able to surmise that there was problems and calculations being run by Galactus. So Galactus, who was a celestial by nature, which puts him way above what a new god is. Because Galactus has actually pretty much punked Darkseid, which is an impressive feat for someone to do. Galactus actually was in the process of eating Apocalypse until he realized it's a dead planet, there's no energy for him to take. So someone who can outsmart Galactus, and someone who puts a level of plans into motion where he's got decades and hundreds of years to wait to hit a perfect fruition, I'm going to put that above somebody who has cosmic awareness and a level of divinity as well. Thanos is probably one of the top tier. I almost put like Uatu the Watcher and Thanos almost right next to each other. So definitely Thanos takes a lead in intelligence. Fighting ability, Thanos has spent centuries fighting. He has a tremendous amount of hand-to-hand skill versus somebody whose touch kills people. Strength. Okay, Thanos has been shown that he actually can hang with people like Hulk. He can physically hang with Hulk. He's also physically been able to withstand people like, well, match strength with Odin. So his top tier strength, feat strengths put him, you know, pretty close to like a Skyfather level of strength. Very, very strong. Speed, that's going to go to Black Racer. Black Racer has virtually instantaneous speed. It can phase through materials. Now we're looking at durability. This is kind of weird because they're both functional immortals. However, for the vast majority of time, Thanos actually had a curse placed upon him by death, that he would never die. That's why when he actually did die, and probably his best death ever, he actually was defeated by Drax, who was created by the god Kronos to specifically kill Thanos. And when Death thought that it was definitely time that Thanos should be with her at that time, she finally released him from said curse and allowed him to be killed. only to have been brought back later. And then used himself to trick a universe into re-inviting death. So you have somebody who pretty much, death is only going to claim him when she feels that he is truly ready to be almost like her equal. That's pretty impressive when it comes to a durability standpoint. Invulnerability, that's actually going to go to Black Racer. Black Racer can take a tremendous amount of physical abuse, and plus, he has the ability to phase through everything. Energy, matter. So that's a huge level of invulnerability. If someone can't physically touch you, that's really impressive. Energy projection. As crazy as it's going to sound, this one's going to go to Black Racer. Black Racer does have the ability, his skis, his cosmic skis, which still sounds weird to say, he actually can channel his death ability through them. And then versatility, you've got somebody who can kill you at virtually any moment. So now it comes down to that all-important X Factor. This is going to be a weird one. I'm going to give the X Factor to Thanos. Here's what I'm going to give the X Factor to Thanos. He is in love with death. Unless you think the Thanos rising approach where death could love him and they could be equals, or he could just be absolutely incredibly insane. But death does not want Thanos until she does. It's probably the most bizarre sorts of moments where you have somebody who is unbeatable, who death does not want to embrace him. So you have the person who is the messenger of death, who carries you to your final resting place. If the person in control of said resting place doesn't want you, and more or less wants you to have the curse of never knowing the loving embrace of Mistress Death, Black Racer can't touch him. He can try. The source knows he can try. But if death does not want to claim him, he will defeat him, try to take him to his resting place, and he'll just come back. So Black Racer will never be able to successfully defeat Thanos until, and only until, death decides to hold him in an embrace. And that's entirely dependent on writer. For a very long time, Thanos was denied death. Until after, I think it was Geffen who wrote death as like a little girl. Super creepy, super creepy. Wrote death as like a little girl, and they finally had that moment where they actually connected, like, okay, you understand why all these years I would not embrace you again. So if Thanos has a little understanding with death, then he would actually probably invite a good battle to have a good death, in which point Black Racer would take it. But more often than not, death isn't quite ready to fully embrace Thanos yet again. As much as Thanos would love to embrace death, death does not want him. Which would therefore mean Black Racer couldn't defeat him. So more often than not, this fight would probably go to Thanos. Only until such time that death would decide that it's time to fully embrace him again.